Welcome, everybody. It's going to be a interesting day, guys. Interesting day. I'll tell
Mm.
you definitely that I have this on my bingo card today. I actually, you know what? I woke up today. Hey, Ludmila. Hey, guys. Welcome, everybody. I was not planning on doing anything. I was planning, I'm working on a special piece about some of my inside sources that are reporting on stuff that's going on right now with guys like Steve Witkoff, Stephen Miller, Pete Hegseth, like some real serious, like these guys are really, really, so I've been, thought to myself, today's going to be an easy day. Really, no real news coming out. I clicked on my son Aaron's feed to see if there's any breaking news. I saw nothing really crazy going on. Saw the scheduled, oval with Canada. I'm thinking Canada. I mean, how interesting is that going to be? I mean, I know Donald Trump always comes out, but I mean, it's black and white. I mean, really. Plus, carries different level of people. Trump's not even going to try. You got the Harvard PhD. This guy is like, convicted criminal. I mean, different level of care. So I'm thinking to myself, I'm going to have an easy day thinking about how my, plan out the day. And then all of a
How'd
sudden,
that go? How'd that go?
well, it started with watching your show. I saw you guys went live. You and Zev went on
Mhm.
live, and I clicked on that, and I said to myself, "What's going on? Like what you guys are talking about?" And then I said, "What? Let me put into it." And here we are, folks.
Oh,
So, so let's dive right into it. Where that was like basically a great prelude. First of all, thank you, all of you. There's about 300 of you now. Keep hitting those hearts because it's this algorithm they got going on here. There's the more, hey Jackie, how are you? The more hearts you hit, the more likes, I guess, the more people join us. Because remember, this is not just some show. Yes, it's entertaining. It's entertaining because Donald Trump makes it. As crazy as it is, he makes it. We just, our people here to be able to make it as entertaining, to be able to give you the news so you don't go crazy over it. So we try and make it entertaining. But this is some crazy shit that we're going to be talking about. You can't make this stuff up. I mean, what happened just now, literally. Thank you, Alexander. So anyway, hit those hearts because we want to see at least a couple of thousand people on this platform today because we have a lot to break down. We have special guests. First of all, we have Brian Krassenstein. You guys know him. He's not just a journalist. He's a digital force, guys. I mean, this is a guy that's relentless presence in the resistance movement. Brian has a prominent critic of the former, current President Donald Trump, gaining attention through his active engagement on Twitter, which we call X now, and other platforms here on Substack. He also co-hosts a political podcast called the Krassencast. Everybody make sure you subscribe to Brian because he's a true fighter and he really, tells it like it is. Not scared of all, they go after him, they try to threaten him with, they, dox him. I've seen this shit happen. They've go after his family. They threaten him with the FBI and now especially with Cash Patel there. But he's still there, him and his brother Ed. Sometimes you can't tell the two of them apart. This is Brian, though. He brings you guys. So, Brian, thank you. And then we got a special guest today. I was just on his show with Zev. Yes, not Lev, Zev. I love the name Zev. You can't make this shit up. Zev.
so close to Lev. How could you not?
I think
Yeah.
me and him have to have a show just on our own. The
Zev and Lev show.
left show, you can. I think that's just in there. So we have one of Canada's most notorious jock shacks, Dean Blundell. He's reinvented himself as a fearless media disruptor. Excuse me. He now co-hosts the Five Stack with Zev Shafel on this current platform, Substack. The show dives into the top 5 stories of the moment, offering unfiltered commentary on politics and media. So everybody, I please subscribe to everybody here. Make sure you follow, subscribe, because like I said, it's not just a show. This is a movement. We're here to make sure that we unite. As you can see, we do these things, and Substack is a special platform where we're not doing this individually. Our voices are starting to unite. We'll be able to, and that's how we're going to be able to grow, to be able to defeat them. So that's what we're doing. We're uniting to show you the different forms of aspects of all of this thing that's happening, like a 360, you say, of everything that's happening, and you do your job. What's your job? And I'm going to tell it to you so many times while in the show. So don't get upset. But, this is not a show. This is a movement. And this is a movement to save our democracy, save Canada from their freedom and sovereignty, save the world from this dictator. So it is what it is. I'm going to tell you what to do. We need every single one of you to make sure today you go out and get 2, 3 people and have them subscribe. Tell your friends, family members, co-workers, wherever you are, tell them to come subscribe. You could do it for free, or, if those of you that can't afford it, make sure you do, paid subscribers. You get a lot of great content from everybody here. But the 7, 8, or 6 or whatever dollars anybody call it goes a long way, because we're here doing this 24 hours. Some of us are journalists, some of us are pundits, some of us are still under the DOJ of Donald Trump. They can't even leave his house, doing it scared, but at the end of the day, Donald Trump's trying to shut all of us down. He's trying to scare all of us. And with your help, with your donations, your contributions, your support, and especially passing the message on, is what makes this go. Not just us, but others on this platform. You know who they are. So I'm not going to go through the list, but so thank you for your support. And, let's go into some of the things that we're going to break down to you. I mean, I'm just going to dissect a little bit of this oval, if you call it an oval conversation, because first of all, I'm going to tell you, my sources told me that this was Donald Trump used this meeting in a little different way. So before he came into it, he was going to use it as a mob style to intimidate. What's his name?
Carney.
Carney, excuse me. I call him Kerry. I apologize, Carney.
That's okay.
Carney, Kerry, tomato, potato. I was like, sometimes, but Carney. So he basically was going to intimidate him, and then during the meeting, because I called right afterwards to find out, he got pissed off that that Carney wouldn't give up the 51 state thing, that he kept pushing back and sticking it to him, and that irritated to a point where we almost saw a part 2 of what happened with the Ukraine meeting. I mean, this was literally right there on the verge. I mean, the only difference is Carney, is a very educated, for individual that was able to respond to him in such different ways, which we'll go into. So, I mean, the guy literally, he bragged about how we're better than you guys are. I mean, it's sick. I'm sorry to say that, but that's just him saying to you. I mean, sitting in front of the prime minister, it's just unheard of. He literally quoted that we don't need Canada, they need us. I mean, he said it before, but now he's saying it with the prime minister as his guest, sitting in the Oval right next to him. If you guys saw I'm just not technically inclined, but I'm getting there. I'm working with some guys behind the scenes. If I could just show you the video of the face side by side as he's saying it, of Prime Minister Carney. I mean, he wanted to grab the mic, he wanted to say something. Even at the end, they still did a lot of it. He just could. He was like dying to say, like, "Are you kidding me? Like, what are you saying? What are you doing?" So, then. I mean, just think about it. Before we even start the meeting, guys, the first thing Donald Trump says is like, no matter what is said today, I'm not lifting the tariffs. So,
Yeah.
like, what are we meeting about? Like, what are we having here to like a piñata? I mean, like, what are having lunch? You have McDonald's, Big Macs lined up, and fries in the backyard with some Diet Cokes. What are we doing here? You're telling me there's no tariff. And then, the beautiful part, he keeps saying the quiet thing out loud that we keep talking about. And I keep trying to tell him, just like with Zelensky, exactly, Laura, it's a land deal. It's a real estate deal, just like he's doing with Ukraine, just like he's doing in the Middle East. Just look at the pattern. Middle East, he wants to get rid of the Gaza Strip, wants to throw all the people out of there, doesn't care about thousands of years of history, religion, or wherever people live, humanitarian. He wants to build a Riviera in the Middle East. In Ukraine, he does that whole, Fifth Avenue hustle with you, where he's telling you, oh, I'm going to Vladimir, stop the bombing. Meanwhile, he's trying to lift the sanctions. He's trying to dissect Ukraine. He has this guy, Steve Witkoff, and behind the scenes, a real estate guy, no diplomacy whatsoever, a real estate guy talking about how he's going to cut up Ukraine. Real estate deal again. And now we go to Canada. Forget about Greenland and Panama. I mean, we don't have enough time to go over everything, but now we go to Canada. And he said it out loud. He said, just think about how beautiful the imaginary line. You take the imaginary line off, it's like what you got the prime minister of Canada say they're like, Bub, hello, like shut the fuck up. Like, what are you saying, dude? Like, I mean, where are you going with this? And then I'm gonna, end it off right here, because what really, really got to me and then I'm going to pass it on to you guys. We'll start off with Dean. He's our honored guest from Canada, and we want to hear his opinion. And then Brian will break down how he really does. But this is what got to me, folks, and this is where really hit me because I know Donald Trump very well, and I know what this fucking guy could do. And I apologize, I'm cursing. This is a 3 o'clock show. It's not Unleashed, but he really got to me today. Is when he turned around and he did something where you don't do, where he said he spoke about his conversation with Trudeau, and he unleashed what Trudeau said in confidence between two leaders. And he used that as a way to intimidate and basically show, that you have no choice, that your leader said that you're going to die. If I put 25% tariffs on you, that will destroy your economy. So your leader said that. And you know what I did right after your leader said that to me? I imposed 25% tariffs on your economy.
Mhm.
So Donald Trump basically is saying, I'm here to destroy your economy because you're going to become the 51st state, just like what I'm doing to the United States. What am I doing to the United States? Like we said about what do dictators do? The first thing they do is they destroy your economy. So people are so desperate that they start concentrating on things like free voice, and media, who's getting arrested, who's taking off the street. People want to eat. People want to feed their kids. They want to pay their bills. It gets to a point. So the economy is the first thing. He's doing it. That's what the whole tariff thing. And he's saying it to Canada out loud and using Trudeau to be able to talk about it. It's sick. I can't. And I saw where he was going with it, and basically, I can't wait. Right now, I'm waiting to hear. Maybe while we're here, I'll get some news about what is going on between the talks. But I'm sure this is not going in a good way because you guys tell me your points, Dean. Break it down.
Yeah, Lev, thanks. And great to be here with you too, Brian. And I'd love your thoughts on just the general tone and vibe because a bunch of stuff happened today, right? Like, Mark Carney showed up to basically deliver a message, which is what he did, basically saying Canada is not for sale. Joked around when Trump said never say never. That's when Mark Carney, I don't know if you saw that. He's like, never, 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 never. It's never, never happening.
Incredible. Two leaders, you got just jabbing at each other, going at it.
But it was, outside of, I used the word capitulation in a blog post that I'm making for it. That was classic Trump, and Trump well enough that and I can see the trend with a guy like Trump where he talks a game until you show up and you stand in front of him, and then he says, "I want friendship. I want to be friends. I love Canada. You're the best country in the world." Hey, you know what? 51st state or not, I think you'd be great as a 51st state, but it takes two to tango. So I guess we're not going to do that. Like, it was all the bluster and all the bullshit, all the whole vibe. As soon as a serious fucking cat walked in, who's got a couple of degrees from Oxford and Harvard, the Prime Minister of Canada, who is the former central governor of the Bank of Canada in England, as soon as he walks in with a smile on his face, he's like, "Let's do this then. Let's have that conversation." And I think,
by the way, before
Yeah.
I hate to interrupt you, but
No.
I'd love for you and Brian. Let's have this give just for the audience. This is great. I'd like after you're done with your please let's do a breakdown of you telling us exactly the credentials of your prime minister, and then Brian, you tell us the credentials of your indicted, convicted president, and then
Yeah.
we'll leave that after. But go ahead,
It's going to be a tough go for Bry, I think. But it was a capitulation. It was the end of a 3-month operation where he got to pretend that he could bully Canada into stuff, and then Canada showed up on his doorstep and said, "Hey, let's talk about it." But we're not signing a deal today. Carney didn't go there to do a deal, which he reinserted. Carney then, I don't know if you noticed that at the start of the actual presser, where he was like, "You're a very transformative president. You've transformed international security," which was not a compliment. And Trump's like, "Thank you very much. That's really nice of you." So
he didn't get that too quick.
No, he got, surgically, Donald Trump rambled, and when he wasn't rambling, when it was Mark Carney's turn, Mark Carney, all he did was stand there and go, "It's never going to happen," and offer him backhanded compliments, which are actually insults, and then walked out of there 10 feet tall, talked to some people that are associated with the Carney camp, and they're like, "We didn't think it would be that easy." Like we didn't think he would fold the second we walked in, where he heaped praise on Mark Carney and then took credit for Carney getting elected. But what happened today, Brian? And I would love your thoughts before we get to comparing presidentials and prime ministerial resumes. I think that was classic. Trump's big boy pants were off, and he got shown the door today, and he completely kissed the Northern Ring.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and like Lev said, like you said, Carney is well educated. He's a businessman, a successful businessman, unlike Trump, and I think he almost intimidated him, at least in front of the press, where Trump was very, he wasn't the go get him, like he didn't do what he did to Zelensky, right?
Mhm.
And I think you're going to see a lot of this. I think that Carney isn't the only one, but as we head further into May and into June, and maybe he'll sign a few trade deals here and there that are probably no better than the old ones, but he'll sell them as they are. I think you'll see leaders start standing up to him more, and when that starts happening, it's really dangerous for the American economy. And I hope, and I hate saying this as an American, I hope that Canada stands with Europe and with some of the Asian countries like Japan and South Korea, and they stand up for themselves rather than start to fold like we might see from India, which I don't blame them, and from the UK. Now, what I don't think Trump and a lot of MAGA realize is that it's not the leaders that are trying to make deals with Trump and trying to, get rid of these tariffs. It's the populists that represent those leaders that these leaders have to answer to, right? So they
Mhm.
can't sign a deal that is not beneficial towards Canada, towards Europe, towards China, and they won't. And Trump thinks that it's like business where, oh, we can sign a deal with this guy, I can persuade him, I can intimidate him, but that's not the way it works because these leaders have to answer to their own populace.
Mhm.
Because
Yeah.
he's used to dealing with guys like Putin that don't. They just do whatever they want.
Exactly.
That's why he tries to do what Zelensky tries to do with the Palestinian people. It's like I'm just gonna displace you. I'm gonna say you move, and I said you move. You guys just give up your land because I said Canada. You're gonna become the 51st state. Greenland, we're gonna take you. I mean, just think about the conversation. It's insane. I mean, like you said, I know the guy very well, but this is 2.0. I mean, this is he's taking it to another level. Like he's really like, unleashed, and only because he has everything in place to allow him to it. Because you know what, guys, the bottom line, there's no accountability. And, that's why, we sit here. One of the main things, everybody out there, just before we go forward, I'm going to tell you is part of what we're doing here, getting you this information, is to be able to get some sort of accountability. That's why
Yeah.
we all have our call to actions. We all support different causes. We all go out there, from doing protests to going out there, making sure, like I've been telling every single way, call your congressmen and senators. Don't wait till 2026. We might not get there. I know Donald Trump very well. He's giving you all the messages. That's why it's important right now, because right now we have about right now close to 700 people watching. It's a Tuesday, 3 o'clock. We let's get at least over 1,000 or two right now. But each and every one of you, if you bring two, three people, if each and every one of you subscribe, if each and every one of you become from paid subscribers to people that go out there and spread the message, this platform, this message, the movement is going to get bigger and bigger. And that's why I'm begging you to go support guys like Dean over here, like Brian over here, because these guys are out there trying to get you and get you the information to make sure that you understand. Like Dean has sources. He's in Canada right now, and he's telling you stuff that you're not going to hear in the media right now because they're still in there. Brian is out there. I told you, the guy has death threats. People are doxing his family, but he's out there from morning to night on every platform giving you the Krassenstein, information. So please do your job, support, get the information out. Let's keep breaking this down. Let's have, first of all, before we go forward, let's get the audience into so they understand who we're dealing with. Why don't each and every one of you give your side of your leader? Let them understand who your leaders are, and then we'll get into further about the conversation. Why don't you go first, Dean? Because I think Brian's gonna have a hard time with this one. So we'll give we'll let him go second.
Yeah, President Bone Spurs doesn't have a great resume. Well, you listen. Donald Trump ran into a buzzsaw today of authenticity, right? And you can tell the quality of an individual in the presence of Donald Trump scares Donald Trump. And you see that every time he meets somebody who's got more panache than him, someone who's authentic, someone who's educated. And Mark Carney's that guy. He's got his bachelor's degree from Harvard University. He studied and he got his doctorate in economics at the University of Oxford. He worked at Goldman Sachs before he became an investment banker. He helped post-apartheid South Africa gain access to international bond markets. He actually advised Russia when navigated the financial crisis of 1998. Then he took over the Bank of Canada in 2000, and then he became the governor of the Bank of England in 2006, and he led them through Brexit. And just for weekend fun, Brian, Lev, just for weekend fun, he saved Ireland from bankruptcy while he was at the Bank of England. So they just gave him a passport that said he was an Irish citizen. He's since renounced his British and Irish citizenship. But this is a guy who's successful, and I think, Brian, you said it best. This is a guy who was successful in the real world. This is a guy who didn't declare bankruptcy. This is a guy who didn't bankrupt Atlantic City casinos, 3 of them. And Lev, you're from the area. You know how hard that is to do. So, like, he literally was authenticity personified in front of a guy like Donald Trump. And what I saw today was Donald Trump not just capitulate, but I saw him look across the room and be sheepish and, aw shucksy. I saw his slouch, like his body posture got progressively worse as the actual press conference went on because he's in the presence of a real fucking dude.
He even didn't know what to say. He went to Lutnick. Tell me how that's going to happen. You saw that when he went to because he needed to get saved. Absolutely. I agree with you. Well, let me tell you, I mean, you have some work to do, Brian. I mean, I'd like.
Yeah, do Trump now, Brian. Do Trump.
Yeah, I'd like to hear the education. I want to go through everything, right? All this pedigree.
I grew up in Atlantic City, and I moved out of there like 20 years ago. But my father worked in the casinos. He actually worked for Trump for 10 years at the Taj Mahal. So I saw exactly what Trump did.
Did he really?
Yeah. He worked in marketing for Trump.
Special treat, guys.
And the area that was affected by, when he went bankrupt with the casinos and he didn't pay the contractors, they hate him. Now, South Jersey is more Republican, of course, so there are still people that voted for Trump, but he devastated the area. He cost the area so many jobs, and he was just so haphazard with everything. When he opened the Taj Mahal, he spent way more money than anybody else and got himself in financial problems. Now, he also, of course, he has been indicted 4 times, convicted of 34 felonies. He was found liable of business
You
fraud.
don't have that. You see that? You don't got shit like that.
Yeah.
Nobody got shit like that. Even Putin doesn't have. No, I dare anybody out there to show me their leader with a pedigree of 34 criminal conviction.
Dude, I think Brian's just getting warmed up, Lev. I think Brian's just getting warmed up. Keep going.
No, I mean, it's ridiculous. He graduated from Wharton Business School. He cheated his way through, according to a lot of his classmates. He's bankrupted 6 companies, including casinos. I mean, how can you bankrupt a casino, especially in Atlantic City during the heyday of Atlantic City? It wasn't like it was the tail end of Atlantic City when it started fading away and New York and Pennsylvania got gambling. It was in the midst of the heyday of Atlantic City, while all these other companies are booming as well. So it's just baffling that people think this guy has anything good to do for the economy. He hired Lutnick, Besant. I think Lutnick is a yes man. He's a sycophant. He basically says whatever he wants Trump to hear. I think Besant is a little bit smarter. I think that he knows a little bit more about what he's doing, but I don't think he has a say. Yeah, I think he has to fall back because he has to answer to Trump. And of course, you've got his name skipped my mind. The guy that was just indicted for not going to Congress and testifying.
What's his name? Oh shit. What's it? The guy, he was in prison in Miami. He was
Yeah, and he's leading
the architect of the tariffs, guys.
Right.
Oh, Peter Navarro.
Yeah.
We have a Canadian that's
Peter Navarro. Peter Navarro has been my favorite story about the whole tariff thing because
The guy's insane.
him and Ron Vera, if you remember Ron Vera, is this fake dude he made up, said he was an economist, and it was just an avatar of him that he put in a book, and he's like, guys, Ron Vera says I'm right, so we got to put tariffs, and Trump's like, I don't know who this Ron Vera guy is, but he's a fucking genius. Let's do it.
He made the whole thing up. Yeah. But see, Trump surrounds himself with these yes men economists who won't tell him that, oh yeah, putting tariffs of 25% on the entire planet isn't a good idea. It's gonna cause stagflation. They don't tell him that, so he just goes but on a whim and does what he thinks will work, which is obviously not the right thing since he bankrupted 6 companies.
You know, it's almost as if the worst people in the world are running the United States of America. And that was on display today, too. Like, I want your thoughts, too, Brian, Lev. Watch, you know, the circus that we've seen in these Oval Office mobbings, right? Everybody was on their best fucking behavior. Even though that the day before Howard Nutlick launched a tirade at Canada, said we've been feeding off the United States and we're a socialist regime, which I did a post about, so you can go read that. Today he was on his best behavior. Yes, sir. It's only 15%, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you very much. And then Donald Trump, same thing. Not a word out of JD Vance either. Like not a word out of the laughing hyenas. And it goes back to the idea that both of these resumes put together make Donald Trump look like a complete village idiot.
And I'll tell you, it all started from. I apologize, by the way. This is Princess Peach. This is my support.
Well, I'm glad you brought your dog into the show.
I have to go through a lot of support with everything that happens with Donald Trump. So, you know, but what I'm saying to you is, if you take a look at how the presser started, you could tell that the tone. Even that's what I'm saying to you. Donald Trump was, start off by saying, "We love Canada. I love Canada." You know what I'm saying to you, and that's why I'm like, that doesn't sound like he was. But then you see him shift as he was going along, and the shift started after he mentioned when he was asked about if he thinks that Canada should be the 51st state. He answered and you saw the first time he answered, he was like, yeah, but both sides have to agree, and he was trying to give it like some kind of way out in his own crazy world. And then when Carney came back and said, no, there's no conversation, we're never going to be the 51st state, you saw his face shift. I know Donald Trump, and I could see his face shift. And then when Carney he said something else. Then Carney went back again and said, no, we're not going. Never. You saw his shift again, and that's when you saw him come back. Never say that. At that point, that's it. The devil took over. There was and that's why he went in, and that's why you saw he even ended up. A lot of people don't realize it, but Carney was dying to respond to a lot of shit, even the 200 million, and the shit that he was saying. We're going to get to all of that, and he was trying to, and he cut it off. He stopped. He said, "That's it," because he knew that he was pissed. Go ahead.
That would have been Brian Lev. That would have been one of the best international immediate fact checkings of Donald Trump of his life, sitting next to a master economist with his doctorate, saying, and keep in mind, like prior to the actual Oval Office meeting, Trump put out a Truth Social tweet carving Canada, saying the only question of consequence is who's going to deal with this $200 billion subsidy that we give Canada. And he says, that's the only question of consequence I have for Mark Carney today. Not only did he not ask the only question of consequence he said he had for Mark Carney today, he waited till the very end after Mark Carney was like, yeah, dude, never happening. So whatever. To the very end. To then reassert, which he originally called a deficit, he corrected that, to your point, when his mood shifted, and he called it a subsidy, and then he ended the press conference immediately. So Mark Carney couldn't correct him, Brian. I don't know if you saw that. Did you see that?
I did. My favorite part was when Carney said, I've been going around my country for the last few months talking to people about selling Canada, and they don't want that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you could tell that Trump was he said, I've been going around talking to the people that own Canada, and they don't want to sell it.
It's not for
And
sale. Yeah.
Trump was like, you could tell he was thinking like, who's that? Like he's like, I want to talk to this guy, right?
I saw that. I swear, you can see it in his face, bro. He was like,
Like he literally thought Mark Carney
who's
was
the
talking to someone with the deed to
let me call my
Canada.
guy Witkoff. Hey, Witkoff, get away. He's in Israel, by the way. He's trying to in the Middle East. Get over to Canada. Find out who really owns Canada.
Yeah. Well, and how he framed it too was in a way that Donald Trump could understand. When, he was asked about the 51st state stuff, he's like, "Hey, listen, you're a real estate guy, Donald, right? There's some real estate that's never been for sale, like Buckingham Palace. You've been there." So he drags the king into
like
it.
the White House. He said, like,
And then where we are now, like the White House. Well, I've talked to the owners of Canada, and they've assured me Canada is not for sale and never fucking will be. So even in, like Harvard educated, great at math, but what a word assassin as well. Not only insulting him by calling him the most transformative president when it comes to international security in the world, but then he insulted him by going, "And you understand real estate," and putting it into like grade 3 terms that he could understand. And to Brian's point, he was still confused going, "Wait a second. There are people, there are owners of Canada, like who holds the deed? What's the mortgage like?" Like he literally was lost, deer in the headlights. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I could tell you, it was classical to watch it. Like you said, Dean. I mean, he literally was like, and Brian. I mean, deer in the headlights. I mean, but even watching everybody, like you said, that was very interesting to see how JD Vance and all them, they were at his best, and they were like best quiet, ziplocked, because listen, and that's the whole thing, because they understand that this is not, Ukraine sitting there where they're in a fight for their life, where they need the United States help, they need military from the world, from everybody, and where you could just sit there and put, Canada's a totally different animal. Yes, is it bad with the tariffs? Would it be? But Canada is not a pushover. You know what I'm saying? Just
Yeah.
think about what he's doing with Mexico. He's attacking the president because she won't allow him there to send in American assassins into her country to take, I mean, like, would Donald Trump allow that to do that? Without, I mean, we should ask Donald Trump. Would you allow? You say we have this big problem with immigration. I have a solution. We should allow Canadian Mounties and Mexican police to come in here and help get rid of the problem. So this way we don't have to spend. Let them do it on American soil. Let them go after it. You fucking kidding me? Like, what are you even saying? Like, I mean, and then you're pissed at that. Like, I mean, it's.
Well, it's always, I mean, he never thinks of those consequences, right? He never thinks about anything that he says before he says it. That was again on display today when he was cornered by a guy who knew what he's talking about. But he also, and I think that this was one of the takeaways, and Brian actually said it to start the podcast, and Lev, you and I talked about it, and I talked about it in our 5-stack earlier because we covered the actual press conference live. Lev, sorry, you were watching with Zev and I.
Zev, Lev.
Yeah, just saw so many Evs. But the American people, you talk about him not being held accountable. What we haven't talked about is his disapproval or approval ratings, right? Is he needed that to go well. He needed to look like he could kiss and make up with Canada. He needed, and every member in that, maybe you've got inside information, every member of his cabinet that was there was on their best behavior because he is so underwater. He's minus 20 across the board. And it's because of stuff like this. And you've got 300 million Americans out of 365 million Americans that did not vote for the guy, right? Or 370 million that didn't vote for the guy, that want him to lose. They don't want him to lose just the tariff war. They're actively rooting against American interests because they fucking hate this guy that much. So that had to go well for him today, fellas.
Absolutely. And that's why, Brian, right before you go into that's why, right, I'm saying why it's so important right now, because he's seeing, and Brian's going to break it down, all the polls and everything to you, but he's seeing it happen. That's why we need to act now. We can't wait till 2026 because he sees, and what he sees, and believe me, he watches the polls, he watches the market. He could tell you he doesn't, but he does. I know. Go ahead, Brian. Tell us how bad he's doing.
Yeah. I think first of all, like unlike with Zelensky, there is no dire need here, like you said, Lev. In fact, we are probably just as bad off as Canada is in this trade war. Uh, Trump argues that, oh, Canada's screwing us over, but we have tariffs against their products as well. And it's not like we're charging them zero tariff. So anything that Canada is suffering right now, it's also impacting us only at a wider margin because right now the whole world is against us and we can't sell our products into the rest of the world or import products from the rest of the world without a tariff. Canada still has trade with the rest of the world, which is like 95% of their imports, right? So you have that. Canada is probably in a less dire situation than Trump is right now, and his people don't like it. Americans don't agree with the trade war. It's something like I think the last poll by CNN was 39% of the people agree with the way he's dealing with trade, and it was like 58% disagree, which is a huge margin, almost 20 points. So the populace, our citizenry, isn't on Trump's side with this. Whereas with Canada, they are on Carney's side. They're like they don't see this as something Carney or the Liberals or the Canadian government started. They see it as something Trump started. So if anything goes wrong in the Canadian economy, they're not going to be blaming Carney. They're going to be blaming Trump. Whereas if anything goes wrong in our economy, of course, we're going to be blaming Trump. Even conservatives are starting to blame Trump and question him at least. Why is he doing this? This doesn't make sense. So it's not like Zelensky, right? They can't bully Carney because Carney is actually the one with the upper hand right now.
Yeah. And let me just kind of add to that. This is a brilliant point. Let me add to that too. Americans love Canadians. Like we're next door. We know each other's shit. We've been pals for 200 fucking years. So, that weighs heavily against Donald Trump and his attempt to paint us in any negative light. Number one. Number two, to your point of urgency, we don't have that sense of urgency because Mark Carney, the second Trudeau, stepped out, went over to Europe, and he secured trade and security deals, economic and security deals, new trading partners, diversified our trade portfolio to the point where Mark Carney literally walked into the Oval Office, not ready to make a deal, but with a sense of confidence that, which he reiterated in the actual press conference today, Canada doesn't need your military help, dude. And we've never needed it. We're building our own military. And he pointed out, thanks to you. Thanks to you, we're building our own military, and we've entered into trade and security deals with so many different countries, and with our partnership, the new partnership we're forging with the EU for rearmament and procurement, it's over.
Let me ask you before you go for who does Canada need to protect themselves except for America?
Just him.
Canada? That's what
just him.
Like so why does Canada, like who's attacking?
No one's
Canada?
coming for us. We're too fucking nice.
And second of all, it's like who the fuck? Since when is America going to allow somebody to attack it beyond their border, not Canada? Like he's such an idiot. Like I mean, like what? It's like he doesn't even make sense. Like
well, and he also, remember when he was like, Canada doesn't pay for the use of our military, which we didn't use, and then today he was like, oh, we'll protect Canada with our military forever. It's not about money, Bri.
Yeah, right. Yeah, it's just insane. I mean, he thinks he has the upper hand in all of these trade negotiations, but he doesn't. It's the world against America right now. If he decided, hey, let's team up with Canada and Mexico and Europe and South Korea and Japan and put pressure on China and then worry about Canada, maybe that would make more sense, right? Or Mexico, like he can't. It's the world against America. Yeah,
right. Like I mean, that's why it doesn't make sense. like he says he pushes the art of the deal, but anybody, businessman with any common sense, or even I'm telling you, my 6-year-old, I shit you not, I'm gonna put this out. I'm gonna play this video. I caught him out there in my studio, and he did this whole tirade about Donald Trump. Even he understands. Like, what are you doing? Like, you've ISA. Same thing. What you're doing with Ukraine. You told everybody go screw themselves. They have just like Dean said, Canada has no choice. But now, yeah, they're gonna build an army. Yeah, Ukraine is now building the best drones out there. Yeah, what's it called? UK and all of them now are aligning together. Yeah, you got China going over with Russia. You pushed everybody to do that.
Yeah, the butterfly effect. Yeah.
Like, what the hell? Like, go ahead, Brian. I'm sorry.
No, so I think like even if these tariffs went away tomorrow, and Dean, you could probably elaborate on this. I think the damage that he has done with Canada is is immense. There's boycotts everywhere. They're not selling our liquor. Like Canada dislikes us right now. And if don't you think that if this trade war was settled, that there's already going to be damage coming because these boycotts will continue, or do you think that's just going to go back to normal?
Well, it's a great question. If listen, Canada, and we have to actually thank Trump. He united this country. We were in the same Maple MAGA mess you guys were in, progressives versus the right. Pierre Poilievre almost wins, the Maple MAGA leader, dime store version of Donald Trump. So we have him to thank for that. But we also have him to thank for the ability to pivot, which Canada has done. And our reputation's sterling, and we're not a financial mess. And so, we have him to thank for forcing us that butterfly effect into new partnerships and trade diversification. We've got a French nuclear submarine literally parked off the coast of Halifax right now. So, the rest of the world has quietly come to Canada's side. And here's the thing, Brian and Lev, I don't think Canada wants to drop some of these tariffs. And I don't think we will, no matter what Trump does. Until Trump's out of office, the relationship that we have with the United States, which Mark Carney has reiterated time and time and time again, shocked he didn't do it today, kind of did it in no uncertain terms, but is over. It's done. And we do not trust how schizophrenic Donald Trump is when it comes to our economy and our security. So we're just not going to do business with the United States. We can talk about reimagining that relationship, which, if you notice, Donald Trump apparently fine with the USMCA trade deal now. That was amazing. Today he was like, oh, yeah, it's all good. We don't need to do anything with it. He's been bitching about it for like 3 months. But that's the kind of stuff that Canada just can't do. This is a serious country of serious people that are reimagining how to build a superpower and take what we have in the ground, get it out of the ground, and sell it to other people. But case in point, the stuff we have in the ground is the stuff that keeps the lights on in America. It is going to power AI in the industries of the United States. Brian, you know this as an AI guy. Like we are on the verge of needing, and America does, the kind of energy it just simply does not have and cannot afford to use. And they know that. Like Donald Trump has screwed that relationship up when it comes to rare earth and the future of development in the United States, to the point where China has stopped sending rare earth materials. Canada is now going to be doing this on our own, and we're not going to have that special economic agreement with the United States. And I go back to this interview that
but he has a real deal. He has a mineral deal with Ukraine, guy.
No, that's just on paper. That's not a real deal.
No, he has a mineral deal. He's gonna get all these minerals from Ukraine, guys. That's why you don't understand. Fucking idiot! I can't even tell you.
So we don't want those tariffs to come off because they're our trigger to deal with him, right? And so we've really turned the tables where Trump wants the tariffs off for Canada. He wants trade to come back to the United States. He wants to pretend that he knows what he's talking about, but what he really wants is for the heat around him to die. Like, I don't know if you watched that portion of the interview today or the White House presser where Donald Trump was asked if there are any deals coming with China, and he's like, guys, stop asking me about deals. I'm just going to set the price, because one day I'm just going to show up here with 100 deals because I just set the price and it's going to be great. That is him saying, I got nothing. Stop asking me. And every single country that does what Canada does will be treated like Canada is being treated now, like a really weird ego-stroking, hey, I'm sorry, can we just be friends and can we kind of bury this? But Canada isn't interested in that relationship as long as he's there. We just aren't. We'll do business in bit. We'll do, tuck-ins here, some other things there. We might be able to refine some oil with you guys. We might be able to continue certain parts of that relationship. But no, Brian, to your point, if Trump decided to drop tariffs tomorrow, that's nice. Ours are staying. And I have that from Carney's orbit. So, and it's only staying because there are only leverage against Donald Trump at this point.
No, that makes sense. And I do think that they will have deals. I think with India, we're going to have a deal. But you keep seeing these messages or these posts on X or these articles saying, India is ready to drop all tariffs to 0%. What they're not saying is the caveat is that America drops all tariffs on India to 0%. And we have a 15% tariff on Indians steel from India, which protects their steel industry. We have auto parts, there's tariffs. So it's not that easy, right? Like India would love a 0-0, I think, because India imports stuff from our country just like we import stuff from their country. And a 0-0 would actually work okay. In fact, they just signed a trade deal with the UK that's 0-0. But Trump's not going to accept that because he'll realize, he probably doesn't realize it now, he'll realize that that is protecting our steel industry.
He's
I'll
so
tell you.
stupid. It's unbelievable, isn't it? Like, you just explain it to me like that. He gets in his own way. He's so useless at being the president of the United States. He's destroying your economy. Dude, you're 2 weeks away. I was talking with a guy who works in shipping at a port in Montreal. He's like, America's 2 weeks away from a lot of fucking empty shelves, dude.
Yeah.
Like 2
Yeah.
weeks away.
Mid-May,
we
and we're close.
we keep telling everybody. I mean, nobody sugar. We're telling. I mean, like people don't understand. Like this shit's about to get real. I mean, it's about to get serious. I mean, right now it's all fun and games, but things are getting worse and worse. And at the end of the day, a lot of people. Again, the one thing I want to make clear to everybody here, and because a lot of people make the mistake that, and I don't want you to make that mistake, Dean, that say that he doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. This is part of a bigger plan. He's doing that because he's watched a lot of dictators in his life grow, and he wants to become that, and he's mastering the student's role of becoming a master. And the first thing you do is you destroy your institutions, you destroy your economy, you destroy your constitution, and when you do those three things, you become a dictatorship, and you're the power because now you control. And that's what he's doing in the United States, and that's what he's trying to do in other countries, just like what he just said today with Canada. By saying the quiet out loud, by saying, look, Trudeau told me that if I put 25% on your country, I'm going to destroy your economy. So you know what? I'm going to go put 25% tariffs on your country.
Which, by the way, I just want to point that out. Trudeau
that.
never said that. He made that whole fucking thing up.
That's another thing. That's another thing. Just think about
It's true.
It doesn't matter, though, right? It doesn't matter what he said
Thank you,
to
Brian.
the MAGA faithful.
No.
Because right now the mega machine is going in overdrive and going how Trump showed him today, and Fox News is showing how wow Trump really handed it to the Canadians, and this is what you got going on. But at the end of the day, he's doing all this turmoil, but it's bigger than that. It's a much bigger game. It's a much bigger. He's right now listening to other players. He's listening to guys like Stephen Miller. He's listening to guys like Stephen Witkoff. He's listening to guys like, and not even listening so much, but he's also giving them the free reign because they're such loyalists. Maybe let me reframe. Stephen Miller is more listening to, but guys like Witkoff and guys like Hexek are more like tools of loyalty that he knows, and he's letting like basically run wild and covering up for their shit. And basically because of, like if you take a look at what's going, even today we've reported about Hexek, how that the Ukraine military aid that was stopped to Ukraine. Did you guys read my Substack? Did you see that I broke the news? So it was the Ukraine. It was basically Hexac, not Trump, that issued the stuff. It was after a conversation Trump had with Hexac and the envoy of Ukraine. But then Hexac went on his own, no official letter, no what's it called, just say, hey, stop the. And then Waltz was then ran back and said, "Wait a second, put this aid back on 4 days later." So just think about the chaos that's going on. And Donald Trump then come out and said, "Get rid of him or fire him." And this is not even talking about after this. We went into Signal Gate 1, Signal Gate 2. His chief of staff, which was with him and his close friend, ran away from him and became a whistleblower. And they're still trying to go after and shut up and allowing it because of the loyalty factor. Just think about that. Just think about what's happening. So it's not about he doesn't know what he's doing. They have a different plan. Stephen Miller and Brian has talked about a lot if you want to touch on that. But Stephen Miller, Project 2025, all of this, it's part of the plan to stay in power forever, to be able to destroy, rechange everything, and take us back. America Great is 100 years backwards, not forwards. No, Brian.
No, absolutely, and he has this like white nationalist mentality, and he's a horrible person. If you talk to anybody that knew Stephen Miller before he made it to the White House, they tell you that he's just a terrible person, and what you see in public is actually what you get with him. That's not him putting on an act, that's actually how he is and how
Can you imagine sitting next to him at a dinner party?
God, could not.
Hey, can you imagine hanging out with Stephen Miller at a dinner party, or like inviting him to your son's confirmation? Yeah,
To be really drunk, right?
he's the kind of guy that when you run into him in like a dark alley, you just assume he's a serial killer. You're like, oh, I'm pretty sure that guy's a fucking serial killer. Boys, I need to take my leave of you, and I apologize. I've got a heart out, and I've got to head to a meeting. But I want to thank you both. And before I let you go, Lev, it has been an absolute pleasure getting to know you. We're going to do a bunch of work together, and I'm really excited for that. And Brian, I've been huge fans of you and your brother Ed, the diversification of your content, leaning into stuff not many people do. I have also been threatened with death by Sebastian Gorka. So maybe
Sebastian, we gotta do a whole space of Sebastian.
Yeah.
I've challenged. By the way, I've challenged Sebastian. I don't know, remember Brian on X? I challenged him to a boxing match for charity, and he blocked me after that.
Yeah.
Oh well, it's because you kick his ass. But just massive fans of both you guys, and a real pleasure to spend some time chopping it up with you today. And hopefully we can do this again real soon. And Brian, we'll exchange information through Lev, and we'll get in touch with each other.
Definitely.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
and Dean, thank you, and go. We'll talk about you a little bit while you're gone, but definitely, folks, if you don't follow him yet, definitely follow Dean. He's just first of all, he's from Canada, so he gives you he gives you the inside look that what the Canadians bring you that the media is not reporting, because one of the main things about this platform is we have people like Brian, people like me, people like Dean that are giving you information that is not the media doesn't report, doesn't talk about because of our sources and information that we have. So definitely follow them. And then Dean has the show. You don't want to miss the 5 with Zev, my boy, Lev Zev. I've been on it. You definitely subscribe for them, and definitely for those of you that can become paid subscribers, support their work, because believe me, it doesn't come easy, and all of this is you're the backbone to support it. So Dean, we love you. God bless. All Canada.
Love you guys, Americans, real Americans
here, and we definitely will have you back again. Thank you so much.
Talk to you soon, boys. Thanks. Bye.
So, guys, first of all, I want to thank all of you for joining us. Me and Brian have been talking and trying to put together, maybe for Mondays or Tuesdays, we're saying somewhere around this time frame between 3 o'clock and 4 o'clock to put together a show where we could go into all of it, this diversified stuff, have great guests like Dean on, talk about the things and the crazy stuff, especially the stuff that the media doesn't want to talk about, and not just one subject, but everything having to do what's going on in our world. So before we go out, Brian, why don't you, give your final word, and then I'll end it off.
No, I think that was great because, like, as Americans, we don't really get to hear from Canadians, right? Like, I have a lot of Canadian friends down here in Florida. For some reason, they're in Florida. Probably not for long, but like I talk to them all the time, like, hey, like, what do you think of this? Like, like this trade war, and they say similar things to what Dean said. So I think it's important you get that, because we're kind of in this bubble where we think like we're exceptional, right? Like America is better than everybody else, and America's great. I love America, but when you get out to the rest of the world, you realize that, yeah, I mean, there's some things definitely wrong with America. And talking to people from other countries in Europe and in Canada and Mexico, you kind of get a sense of, yeah, maybe there are some things that not right in this country. So I think that's important. And he really had a good perspective on the trade war, and I think that was very informative.
100%. And I want to start off by letting everybody know before we go any further is that both Brian, myself, we're American. We love America. This is not about talking shit about America, supporting other countries. We love Canada. We love all the democratic countries out there. This is about right or wrong. This is about, saving our democracy ourselves, because, this is what he's doing to Canada. He's doing to us over here. So it's not just about, so I want to make it very loud and clear, this is not about just trying to cheer for the other side, because I know the mega right, and there's a lot of pundits say, hey, why are you supporting Canada? You're not American? No, that's a bullshit way of saying it. It's not about supporting Canada. We're supporting right from wrong. We're supporting the truth. If Canada was doing some shit, I wouldn't be supporting Canada. I would be saying, yeah, let's kick their ass. But vice versa. So it's about right from wrong. So that's the first thing let's talk about. It's not about Canada. You could put any country anywhere and anything. So that's first of all. Second of all, I just want to say that Donald Trump is, a lot of people keep saying this, and a lot of people want to say they want to. It's not a game. It's not a show. He's not doing this on purpose. I mean, he's not doing this by mistake. He's doing this on purpose. For those of you that follow me and that know what I've been telling you, I'm fresh on this platform. Only been doing this a month, and God thank every single one of you for your support. But Brian, I've been telling you, he's a student of what's it called? Being a what's it called?
Yeah, authoritarian dictator.
Authoritarianship. He did it since a child. I've worked for his father. Fred, it started, then he graduated to, becoming a mobster, with Roy Cohen, being his mentor and teaching him everything you see about right now is Roy, until he turned on Roy. Even when Roy Cohen was dying, Donald Trump didn't even come visit him in the hospital. I mean, Donald Trump is a totally cold-hearted person and understands when, and he surrounded himself right now with loyalists. So I could promise you, a lot of you saying, "Oh, he's going to get rid of Hexag," no, he's not. He's not getting rid of. There's certain names they're not going to, unless they betray him for some reason. But they could do no wrong, and those are the Pam Bondis, the Patels, the Hexags, Tulsi Gabbers. I could go on and on. Don't compare them to the Mike Waltzes. Mike Waltz was never a diehard. He jumped in there into a position, and it's interesting to watch how my sources are telling me that Rubio has graduated and is graduating. I can't even explain to you the closeness. I'm working on some of that, Brian, that we're going to be breaking and talking about. So, listen, thank you, every one of you, for taking out your time and doing your part, just like we do our part. Continue sharing it, continue subscribing to Brian, continue subscribing to all of us here, bringing you the news. And just a little follow-up for all of you that subscribe or haven't yet, you better, because we have something special. Brian, I didn't even tell you, you're going to love this. So Malcolm Nance, you all know Malcolm Nance. So we have a show, me, Malcolm, and Michael Cohen. It's called Unleashed. We do it every Thursday at 3 p.m. And Malcolm Nance today is flying to Greenland. That's right, folks. He's on his way to Greenland, and we're going to do a live Unleashed from Greenland with Malcolm Nance and Michael Cohen and myself at 3 p.m. this Thursday. And he's going to show you. First of all, we're going to go to the places where J.D. Vance wasn't allowed to go because they didn't accept him, because J.D. Vance, when I'm finding out, he wasn't even actually in Greenland. He was actually just on a military base.
Yeah.
He never made it. J.D. Vance never even made it to Greenland. So Malcolm Nance is going to Greenland. You don't want to miss it. We also have some special, Alex from The Voice from Ukraine, you guys that watch that show, is putting together. He's on his way to Odessa to show you, some live action that you don't want to miss also. So for those of you that haven't subscribed, make sure you subscribe now. We have a lot of content. Also, Story Time with LEV for the paid subscribers and Q&As. And Brian and Ed have a podcast that they have. So please, all of you, do your part. Before we go, make sure today you tell 2-3 people to come on this platform and subscribe to all of us here. Those of you that can, become paid subscribers. Those of you that need to send a message out, restack, repost, and move it out to make sure that we grow this community, because the only way we're going to beat Donald Trump, the only way we're going to save it, is we can't wait. We have to do it now. So please, every single one of you, don't wait. Go out there, call your congressman, put pressure on them. Let's get some of these, Republican congressmen like Bacon, Fitzpatrick. Let's get them to get on the right side. It's not about any kind of opinions right now or policies. It's about right or wrong. Just like we said, we could get to the policies later, but right now we need to join forces to at least slow him down. We're not going to be able to stop him fully because he has a lot going on, but slow him down to enough to be able to get it. And Jackie just said, Brian, we got 1,000 viewers on a Tuesday at 3 or 4 o'clock. God bless every single one of you. Keep it up. Next time, hopefully we have 2,000 and then 100,000, then 1,000,000. And that's when we're going to know that Donald Trump is out the door. Right, Brian?
Yep. Right.
All right. God bless every single one of you. Have a great day and stay tuned. Brian has some stuff coming, and I have that special Love Remembers podcast coming out tonight where I'm going to go really deep into Steve Miller, Witkoff, and Hexex. Stay tuned to it. You definitely want to see it. I have a lot of sources that are breaking some stuff on that. So thank you all for watching. Love you. God bless you. And I'll talk to you later. Take care, guys.
You guys.